You know, in the tech world, there are certain credentials that are more than just a line on a resume. They're almost like a passport. And the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, the SAA-C03, seems to be the ultimate passport for anyone wanting to get into cloud computing.
It absolutely is. But it's a passport you have to earn. It's not just a vocabulary test where you memorize a few terms. Think of it more like a choose-your-own-adventure book for system design, where almost every question is a scenario, and a wrong turn could, in the real world, lead to catastrophic downtime or a massive bill.
Right. So let's start with the big picture. The SAA-C03 is a 130-minute exam with 65 questions. It costs $150 a pop, and it's built around 4 main areas: security, resilience, performance, and cost optimization.
Correct. And what people often miss right out of the gate is that security and resilience alone make up 56% of the score. That tells you everything. It's not just about knowing what the services are. It's about understanding the why behind the architecture, because every single question is a scenario. They're testing your judgment.
Exactly. It's about the strategy, not just the trivia. So if we're looking at a 6-week sprint to pass this thing, how do we actually break down the massive AWS catalog?
You have to be surgical. The first 3 weeks are your foundation.
Okay, so for the first 3 weeks of a study plan, the focus is intense. Mastering EC2 and VPC networking, then moving to S3 storage classes, and finally the database trio RDS, DynamoDB, and Aurora. You need to know the difference between stateful security groups and stateless NACLs, and when to pick one database over another.
But here's the counterintuitive part, and it's a classic trap. The exam loves to trick you on availability versus performance. People hear multi-AZ for a database and think it will go faster. It won't. Multi-AZ just means it won't die if a data center goes underwater. It's for survival, not speed.
That's a crucial distinction. It seems like the S3 storage classes are also a huge trap for the unprepared.
Huge. You'll see questions asking for the most cost-effective way to store data that's accessed maybe once a year. If you pick standard IA, because it sounds good, instead of Glacier Deep Archive, you've already failed that question. It's not about what you know, it's about spotting the keywords in the problem.
It really is a game of precision. But once you have the bones of the architecture down, you have to lock the doors, which brings us to the heavy hitters: security and disaster recovery.
Right, and this is where the real architectural thinking comes in.
As we head into weeks 4 and 5, we hit those heavyweights: IAM security policies and disaster recovery. You have to understand RPO, how much data you can afford to lose, and RTO, how long you can stay offline.
And AWS is brutal about the least privilege principle. If a question asks for the most secure setup, the answer is almost always the one with the most restrictive IAM roles and using VPC endpoints to avoid touching the public internet.
I noticed the DR strategies have a massive cost gap. It's not a simple choice.
Exactly. A backup and restore strategy takes hours to recover, but costs pennies. A multi-site active/active setup has virtually zero downtime, but essentially doubles your bill. The exam will ask for high availability, but then add the killer phrase at the lowest cost. That's where most students trip up, because those two goals are constantly fighting each other.
So it's a balancing act. You're not just an architect. You're a financial planner with a security badge. Now let's wrap this up with how to actually survive the final week and the exam room itself. What are the absolute non-negotiables?
All right, if you only remember a few things, make them these. First, the 56% rule. Pour your energy into secure and resilient architectures. That's over half the exam, right there. Second, you have to become a keyword detective. Most cost-effective means you're looking for things like spot instances or Glacier storage. Minimum operational overhead is a huge flashing sign that says serverless or Lambda.
That makes sense. It's about translating their language.
Precisely. Third, burn the difference between multi-AZ and read replicas into your brain. Multi-AZ is synchronous replication for high availability. Read replicas are asynchronous for performance. They are not the same, and the exam will punish you for confusing them. And finally, for your last week, Do not learn new things. Take full mock exams until you're consistently scoring above 75%. In the real test, do a 2-pass system. Answer the slam dunks first, flag the long scenario questions, and come back to them. Don't let one tricky question sink your entire exam.